Hi and welcome to this DCP Web Microsoft Excel beginners tutorial. So in the first part of this tutorial we're going to look at creating a simple spreadsheet. I'm going to assume that you know very little about Microsoft Excel. You've never really used it before, but you want to try and learn how to use Excel. So we'll go through this first case example where we'll be using Excel to document some information on a personal level. In subsequent tutorials we'll look at business cases, but for now we want to keep it really simple and we just show you how Microsoft Excel works, why you would use it, and just familiarize yourself with the interface. So let's go ahead and open up Microsoft Excel. I've got the latest version here, 2019, and I'll go ahead and click new workbook here, just a blank workbook. So here we have a blank workbook. What's new? We'll close that for now, and we'll look at this spreadsheet and I'll explain some of the key elements on here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, so I'll hold down the control key to zoom in using the mouse. So the first thing you should always do is go to File, Save As, and save your work. So let's go to this PC and we're going to browse to my desktop, and we've got this folder here. So let's call this Excel 2019 Part 1. Okay, let's save this. So in theory on my desktop I've got this folder and I've got one file in here now labeled as Excel 2019 Part 1. So like I said, I'm going to assume you know nothing about Excel. So let's just look at what we see. I'm going to explain some basic concepts, then we'll create a basic spreadsheet so you can at least get some key fundamental knowledge and understanding of what's going on. So let's ignore everything at the top at the moment. We'll forget about all of these buttons and what they do. We're going to look at that in subsequent tutorials. We'll do a bit today as well. But let's just look at the actual spreadsheet. This is what we call the spreadsheet here with all of these boxes. So first of all, when we left click, we can click on these boxes basically, right? But these are not called boxes in Excel. They're called cells. So each one of these boxes is called a cell. And across the top you're going to see the letters A, B, C, D, the whole alphabet. And if you use this little sidebar down here, you can scroll across and you can click on the little arrow to scroll further like this. And when we get to the letter Z, we go to AA, AB, AC, AD and so forth, and it will just continuously increment across, and you're going to get lots and lots and lots of columns. It's highly unlikely you'll ever use more than A to Z. That's quite a lot of columns, but maybe in some rare cases you'll go to like A, B's and so forth. So what does all that mean? We'll look at that in a second, but down this side here we have row numbers, and if we roll our mouse downwards or we use the sidebar here, again we can move up and down the numbers, and each row, these are what we call rows. So you've got columns here and you've got rows here. So this will be row 99 and this will be column C. So these rows and numbers are used to basically pinpoint one of these cells. So if I click on any random cell, let's click this one, and we're asking ourselves what is the location of this cell. There's two ways to work that out. You can look at D and then 13, so this will be cell D13, but also written up here in the corner here you can see D13. So when we click here it's H7. So this is a really good reference point to find out what cell you're clicking on. Sometimes a little bit more tricky if you're clicking over here somewhere. You've got to look S column, then you've got to look at 49, but up here you can see it quite easily, S49. Okay, so let's imagine that we're sitting at home, and instead of, in this first case we're going to think of something more on a personal level rather than business. We'll look at some business cases in a few more tutorials going forward later. But let's just say that we wanted to document our monthly expenditure at home. So we've got things like gas bills, we've got electric bill, we've got water bill, we have internet access, we've got a mobile phone probably, we've got maybe Sky TV or some sort of cable service for television. We have all these, and we've got a food bill, we've got maybe travel expenses, we've got all these different types of costs in our own personal life that we may want to document. You may have like a mortgage to pay, loads of different things, right? Car insurance, and you want to document all of this so you can see where your expenditure is and where you may possibly be able to save money. So for example, you've had your phone bill for the last 4 years and you've never changed contracts, and you may want to change contract to reduce that phone bill. But you might not really notice that month by month, but as soon as you see it in a spreadsheet and you see you're spending £40 a month on your phone, all of a sudden you can call your phone provider and get a better deal. So let's start off with this first example spreadsheet. I'm just going to click on save. It's just a blank workbook. And this is column A and this is row 1. So normally on row 1 we put the titles of what we're going to expect to see in these columns. It will make a bit more sense in a moment. So let's click on the first column and let's think of the first type of cost that we may want to document, and we try and group them together in some logic, right? So let's let's do something simple, right? Start off with, so let's just do gas bill. In fact, we're making one slight mistake here, right? So we'll make that mistake and we'll fix it afterwards. I'll show you how to do that. So we'll put gas bill here and we'll put electric bill. So we've got a gas and electric bill we pay every month. Water you don't normally pay monthly, right? You pay that every sort of 6 months. Well, we do in the UK, we pay that normally every 6 months. But we'll put water bill here as well. I don't think we really need to write the word bill because they're already costs to our business, to our personal life, right? Gas bill, electric bill, water bill. Let's put mobile phone. Let's put in here internet access. What else might we have? We might have a mortgage bill, right? Mortgage, car, insurance. We might have what's it called? Car fuel, right? The car insurance and the car fuel are different. What else will we have? So we've got gas, electric, water, mobile phone. We've got food bills, right? So our food cost, what we're spending on food. And that's, you know, as a good example, that might be enough for us for now. We might think of adding some more afterwards. So let's click on this number 1. Number 1, when you click on it, you're really highlighting a row of data. So let me zoom in a little bit more here. So when I click number 1, you can see this whole row of data has been highlighted, and that allows us to perform an action on that particular row. And in this case, we just want to make them bold. So we're going to click on the B button here. That's B for bold. Now they're all bold, but all the cells below it haven't been affected. Only the one that you highlighted will get affected by this particular formatting, right? Bold. So we'll leave it like that for now. You can see there's like larger gaps here and there's smaller gaps, and it's looking a little bit. Let's improve the presentation. So sometimes when I'm sitting with clients, I see them adjusting the cells like this, and sometimes you can't see the forward phone and you're adjusting it like this and it's a little bit bigger and smaller. There's a much easier way to do this. You click in the top left hand corner here, right where my mouse is. That highlights the whole spreadsheet. Then just move your mouse cursor. It doesn't really matter, but between any of the two columns, so like right here, you can move it right here and you see the icon will change the mouse cursor. Then just double left click and that will put all of the columns into the right sizing so you can see everything clearly. And it looks a bit better in terms of presentation. So we'll click save. And I said to you we made a mistake right at the beginning, but that was kind of a good mistake to make. Here in column A, we actually want to put the date or the month here, right? So let's right click here. So we'll click on the letter A that highlights that column. We're going to right click and insert. So we'll insert the column A here, a new blank one, and then all the other columns get shifted across by one column, right? So now originally gas was in column A, but now it's in column B. So we've got a spare free column here. We're going to put, for now, as it's a basic tutorial, we'll just put in the month for now. So again, we want to resize this slightly, but we'll worry about the formatting afterwards. Let's just work on the data. So month. So Excel's quite powerful. You can use it in many different ways. In this case, we're using it on like a personal level, but later we'll see we use it in a business case, in some business examples. But we've got the word month here, so we expect to see the months, January all the way to December underneath. So if we type in January, hit the enter key, as soon as we type something in, so if I type in January and then hit the enter key, it will always move down one cell. And if I keep hitting this enter key, it's going to keep moving down. We can also navigate the cells by using the arrow keys on our keyboard, or we can simply use the mouse and click on a specific cell. So when I type in January and hit the enter key, it's going to move down one. But if I go back up and click on January, it's a little bit hard to see maybe. Let me zoom right in here. In the bottom right hand corner of this cell, there's a little black, or sort of like a little green or black dot. And when you roll your mouse over it, the cursor will change, right? Let me zoom back out a little bit here. So around here. And I'm going to put my mouse over that little cursor there in the bottom corner. And we call this series filling. So when I left click and hold down and drag all the way down to row 13 and let go, Excel understands that January is a month, and when you drag down, it's going to assume that you want to put January and then all the subsequent months going all the way to December. The reason why December sits on 13 and not 12 is because we have a column heading here, right, at 1. So one row has been taken by column headings. So January, February, March, all the way down to December will be on row 13 here. That's how we can quickly fill data using Excel with a simple left click and drag down. I'm going to do that one more time. So if we want to undo something in Excel, so let's say we perform this action, we don't want to do that, we want to get back to the previous step, we just press Control Z, or you can go to Edit. It's normally Edit Undo, right? Let's see. There's an undo button right here where my mouse is, right? If I click that, or if I press Control Z, it will undo something. A quick tip for you is when you hover over things like this, it will tell you the shortcut undo zoom, Control Z. So there'll be some different things in here. You can do like redo, autofill, Control Y. So Control Y is to redo, Control Z is to undo, and there's some few other shortcuts like Control X to cut, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste. But we'll explain those more in detail as we do more tutorials later. So let's series fill this one more time. I'm going to click here, drag all the way down to 13. That's that done. And if I just move my mouse cursor here between columns A and B and double click, it's going to resize it so that it all fits in nicely. Now, in these columns here, we expect to see in these cells values for the cost, right? For that particular month, January, how much did we spend on all of these different types of costs within that month? But if we start typing in numbers like, let's say we spent £45 on our gas bill. If we type that in, it doesn't really have a pound sign, it just says 45. But we can improve the way that Excel displays that information. So I'm going to click on this cell and hit the delete key. That will delete that information. Let's click on the save button, and then I'm going to click on the column B, and I'm going to hold down my left mouse button. Very important to hold down the left mouse button. And I'm going to drag all the way across to highlight all of these columns. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is cell formatting. So when we type values into these blank cells down here, we want Excel to display them as a currency value. So if I right click, when I left click here and highlight all of them, I'll right click on any of these cells at the top. It doesn't really matter which one, the column headings here. I'll right click on F for example, and then go to cell format, or format cells here. When I click on that, and we'll be going through these in more detail later, but for now, if you look at it logically, you want to type in £45 or $45 or whatever it is, so you go to currency. And in currency, we'd always set it to 2 decimal places, so you can do £10.95 or $25.25, for example, right? You can set the symbol here, so you can scroll through this and see all the different currency symbols. You've got like dollars and pounds. As default, Microsoft should detect what type of currency value or what type of language settings you've got set on your computer. And as default, when you load up Excel, if you're in America, you would expect to see as default the dollar sign here. Or if you're in India, you see the rupee sign. Or if you're in the UK, I see the pound sign. So Excel will work that out and set those settings for you. But if you've got bad settings on your machine, like you've got some incorrect settings, so when you set up Windows in the first place, you set it up as American, it will show a dollar sign in here, right, rather than the pound sign. So that's really out of the scope of this tutorial to fix and configure Windows itself. So if you don't see the correct value or symbol in here, just click on the drop down and scroll through and find the correct one in here. I'm leaving mine as pound. I'm going to click OK. Now nothing really happens, as you can see, but whenever we type values into here now, into this spreadsheet, and that formatting's been applied infinitely long down here. Excel can hold 1,000,000 records going down, right? 1,000,000 rows of data, more than that. So all of those rows have been will inherit this format. Let's go to gas. We're going to type some data in quite quickly. So I'm just going to make this pretty random. So we can expect in a month or in a year our gas bill not to fluctuate too much, right? So we're going to put £25, 25, 25. So really probably in the winter months, January is quite a cold month in the UK. So let's say winter 45, February 45. Then we get into spring and summertime. We'll expect to maybe spend a little bit less on our gas bill. And then October it starts to get cold again. And then November it's pretty cold. And December is really cold. So you expect your gas bill to fluctuate throughout the year depending on whether it's hot or cold, right? And maybe the same will apply to electric, but electric will be pretty consistent. So we'll just put consistent values. So all I'm doing, let me just undo that. I'm going to type in 25 and then I hit instead of hitting enter, I'm hitting the down arrow. I know that I want to move downwards in the spreadsheet. So I'll type in 25 and hit the down arrow on my keyboard. So I put in 25 and I'm just hitting the down arrow after I've typed in the value. We'll randomize it a little bit. Something like this. And like I said, our water bill normally comes in once every 6 months. So I'm going to put in 0 here. And then we're in June, I'm going to put in £100 like this. And then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And December we get another water bill for £100. So roughly, that's roughly how the numbers would look. Because we don't get a water bill every month. You could, in theory, take your £100 and split it between the 6 months, right? And put in the monthly value, and then that would equal to £100, but you just take the 100 and divide it by 6. You could do it that way. Maybe that's a smart move for us. Let's say our total water bill was £200 a year. So if we get our calculator and do 200 divided by 12, we can see that would be £16.66 a month. So if we put in 16.66, now what I'm going to do, rather than typing these values all in again, I'm going to click on this cell, press Control C and C to copy it. So you can see that it's got like this flashing thing around the text. That's to show that we're copying it. Then I'll left click here, drag all the way down, holding down the left mouse button to highlight all of these cells with my mouse, and then just press Control V. And now we've pasted that value in all the way. Once I've finished pasting that value, because I've copied it here and pasted it all the way down, I'm going to press the escape key on my keyboard. Hit the escape key, or you can just double click over here, but normally I hit the escape key and that will remove the copy, or remove that action, right? Stop that action, let's say. So our phone bill will hopefully be pretty consistent throughout the year. £20, £20, but sometimes it will fluctuate when you're spending a bit more. Maybe during the summer you make more phone calls. I don't know, for whatever reason your phone bill might fluctuate a little bit, right? Something like this. Internet access, again, you would expect that to be very static value. So let's just put in £30. Really, that shouldn't change throughout the year. And then our mortgage, how much do we pay for our mortgage on our house? Maybe that's going to be a much higher value, right? So we put in something like £600 a month, and that should really not change that bill. So what I'm doing is I'm going to copy this value and paste it here. Control V, move down, Control V, and I'm just doing it like this. Or I could just highlight all of these cells and then just press Control V once and paste it. There's different ways to use Excel. You can see there's different methods. Car insurance, let's just say that's I don't know, what would that be? Let's say it's about 400 a year, for example. So 400, that's what we pay for our car insurance once a year. Divide that by 12 months, we'll make £33.33. So £33.33. We'll then copy this cell, Control C to copy, left click, drag all the way down, holding down the left mouse button, and Control V to paste. And then when I'm working on this spreadsheet, I'm continuously pressing Control and S to save, or click here to save. But when you roll over there, you see it says Control S. So it's definitely worth learning these shortcuts. There is this auto save. If we turn that on, we don't want to do that. We'll leave it off. Normally you can just auto save and it will save to like the cloud. this spreadsheet automatically. We won't do that. Maybe we'll use that in a later tutorial. So car fuel, this again will probably change throughout the year. It won't be the same every month. So we'll put in like, let's say we use our car quite a lot, right? So 60, and you expect these bills to change depending on how much you use the car. Maybe in the summertime you use it a lot less because you're walking a lot more, it's not so cold. And then towards the winter months, you're going to use the car a lot more. So your fuel bill might go up. And then lastly, food. Let's just say you're spending around 45 a month. Again, you might have a birthday party and you might end up spending more on food on certain months, for example, right? And some other months you may spend a lot less because you're away on holiday or whatever it might be, and you come back and in that month you spent less on food, for example, right? So we just put some values in here. Okay, so really we have a spreadsheet. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see it a bit clearer. So we've got a spreadsheet full of information. So we would collect that information each month or each week and would enter it into our spreadsheet. In this case, we're doing it on a monthly. And what use is this to us now? So just on the basic level, we could do a few things here, right? So gas, electric and water, we could have had this spreadsheet set up for last year. And we're looking at this year's data. Down here it says sheet 1, right? Can you see it says sheet 1? Let's double click on that. So when you double click with the left mouse button, you can give this a new name. So let's call this personal cost overview 2018. So we're in 2019 right now, so we can say that this is last year's information in 2018. We added all the information together and we got these values in this spreadsheet for 2018. So when we come to do 2019's data, that's this current year, we could go back and look at 2018 and see where our costs have gone up or where they've come down. We can try and work out why that is. And it might be a case that last year in 2018 you was on a phone contract, you was paying this amount of money, but your phone contracts ended in 2019. So at the beginning of 2019 you can call up your phone provider and say to them, my contract's ended, give me a better deal or I'm going somewhere else. And you can do the same with the gas and the water and electric. It's always worth calling these companies because they want to keep your business. So the gas, the water, probably the water not so much, but the gas, the electric, the mobile phone, the internet access, all of those things you can call them providers and say to them, give me a better deal or I'm going to go to your competitor, and lo and behold your internet access goes from £30 to £20 a month. So it's always worth doing a little haggle, right? If you don't try, you don't know. So we'll click save, and the first thing we want to work out in this spreadsheet is our total cost of what we spent for each one of these cost types. So if I said to you, how much did we spend on gas? You've got two options. You can either open up your calculator and sit there and add up all of these values, 45, 45, 25 and so forth, and you can type them all into a calculator and type in that grand value, that grand total down here in this cell here. So let's do one thing. In column 14, let's type in total cost, something like this. We'll click on that cell, and this time we're going to right align it here. We're going to click right align, and we're going to make it bold like this. And down here we're going to get grand totals for all of these cost types. So to do that, we can, like I said, you can open a calculator and type it all in, but you're wasting your time. Excel can do this for you. So we'll click on this cell here. This is cell, in my case, cell B14. So we just click on this cell and we use the AutoSum tool right here. So all we've got to do is just click on it once and then hit the enter key on our keyboard. But before I do that, I'll explain what Excel is doing. So Excel is going to create a formula, and that formula says equals sum B2 to B13, and you can see it's highlighted here. So Excel is quite smart, if you want to call it smart. It knows that gas is not a numeric value, so it regards this as a title. And then when we click here, let me do it one more time. I'm going to left click here on this cell, click the AutoSum tool here, and when I click that, it's going to work out that going upwards, these are all numeric values. So it's going to highlight them. It's going to have this little sort of dotted line spinning around. And to confirm the actual calculation, all we've got to do is hit the enter key. So we hit enter. and then Excel says, okay, well Excel doesn't say, but we can say that we spent £370 on our gas. And we can do the same now with all the other columns. So we left click here, we'll click on the AutoSum, left click, and then hit enter. And we'll do the same here as well. And we'll click AutoSum and then we'll hit enter. But there's a slightly quicker way of doing this. So let's click on these two and make them bold as well. Consistency is always good. And let's say that we wanted to do all of these ones here rather than clicking here, then going up here, clicking it, then hitting enter. We can tell Excel to just do all of them in one go. So what we do is left click here, hold down the left mouse button and highlight all of these here. Just like this. Then we can go to the AutoSum tool, click it once, and then Excel will calculate all of them for us. You can see it's giving us all our grand totals quickly. But you see a little, something looks like an error here. You've got all these hashes in here. Whenever you look in a spreadsheet, let's just resize this column, for example. If we resize it and the values that are inside cannot be displayed within the cell width, because each one of these cells has a width, right? This is the cell width when we're looking at how wide it is. So to fix that, there's a quick, easy way to do that. We can just click here again in the top left, and that highlights the whole spreadsheet. We move between columns A and B, or any of them, E and F for example, and the mouse cursor will change shape, and then just double left click. And when you double left click, Excel will spread out the columns evenly, or it will spread out the columns so that the information inside of these cells can be displayed correctly. And now you see that cell there has been fixed and all of these ones have been fixed. So now we have a grand total. What we can do is just click on number 14 here and then hit the bold button. And we hit it once and it will unbold everything. We hit it one more time, the left mouse button here, and it will make all of them bold. So now we've got a grand total for all of our costs, and we can look at that and we can compare it to last year's, and we can work out whether our costs have gone up or have they come down. And then at the end of 2019, we can say we went to the mobile phone provider, our gas and electric provider, and we managed to get all of our bills down. So when you compare 2018 to 2019, you can see that you're saving some cost, and then you can do it again in 2019, 2020, right? And that's how you can use Excel to manage some of your own personal costs. And we haven't even gone through all of our things up in the column headings. You could have had more costs going across here, and you could document them as well. You just have to think about what you're spending in your business or your personal life. This is not business, personal, and you could calculate all of these costs using this spreadsheet. So what else can we do here? At the moment, we know what our costs are for each of the types of expenditure. But what if we want to work out how much do we spend in a given month? So we can do that as well. What we can do is click here on this cell, and we want to do a grand total here, right? So we'll click on the AutoSum tool, and Excel again uses its brain power, you could say, and it works out that there's no data going downwards, there's nothing going upwards or to the right. So the information for this sum calculation must be going to the left. And it will highlight all of the values like this, and all we do is hit the enter key, and then we get a value of £8,874.99, and we can press Control B. So instead of clicking here, we can just press Control B, and if I hover my mouse over it, it tells you bold, and then in brackets Control B. So we just press Control B to make it bold. So what if we wanted to calculate all of the months row by row? There's a few different ways to do that, but I want to show you. Do you remember in the beginning we did the series filling to fill out the months like this? We can do the same with this calculation here. So this is like a formula. It's telling us sum of B2 to J2. So this is cell B2 and this will be cell J2. So if we click on this K cell here, and maybe we should give it a title above. We'll do that after maybe. I don't think we actually need to do that. But if we click on this cell here and then left click in the bottom left hand corner where this little dot is, right where my mouse is, there's a little dot there, hover over it, left click and hold down and drag all the way down and let go. Excel will calculate all of the grand totals for all of these months across all of the columns going from left to right. So that's a quick way to get all of your grand totals. So now we can see how much did we spend on gas, £370, our gas bill, our electric bill, our water bill, so forth. Here's the values. But then we can click on row 2 and we can see in January for all of these types in that given month, we spent 874, and in theory, when we get to our winter months here, our costs will go up, and in the summer months, our costs come down. So we can see that during the summer, our costs will be less because we're spending less on gas and electric, and maybe we're out and about more, and we're spending less inside our house, but we may end up spending more outside, right? So you might have another column here to do with socializing column, you could call it, right? Where you go out and have drinks with friends, or you go to parties, or you're going on holiday, or whatever it is. You can document all of that into this spreadsheet. The idea of documenting this information is not really, I'm just trying to show you an example of how to use it. You can then take this logic and apply it to anything. It doesn't have to be things in your personal life. It could be business-based stuff as well. You can use this same logic across loads of information, but it's about the way that we structure the information is most important. You can see that in the gas column, it will only have values that are related to gas. It will only have values that are related to electric, and then we're structuring our information so that we can do these calculations efficiently and quickly afterwards. Okay, so there's one thing that's missing, and that's like a grand total for the whole year. What did we spend throughout the whole year on all of these costs? So we can click in this column here, or this cell right here. This one here is this blank one, and we can just do an auto sum. So we can click here, and if you notice, Excel could have done one of two things. It will give us actually the same value. Excel could have calculated all of the costs here, or it could calculate all the costs here. So it can give us a grand total of this, or a grand total of this data down here, and it will give us the same value. But normally Excel will always work in the upwards or the downwards direction when you use the AutoSum tool. So if Excel sees data going above, it's going to use that first, or if it sees data going no data above, then it will go on the horizontal first. In fact, it will go downwards first and then on the horizontal this way. But let's we'll leave that later for more sort of in-depth tutorial. So let's click here and let's get a grand total. Click AutoSum, hit the enter key, and now that we can see we spent £10,384.88 in that year just on our basic general costs, right? And there would have been other things in here as well. So let's add an extra column. Let's show you how to do that. So let's say that we missed out a column. So let's say so we've got like mobile phone and internet. So let's click on column G. Then we're going to right click and insert a column. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. So you can zoom in and out of this spreadsheet. Hold down the control key and use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Or you can use this little zoom tool here, down here. You can zoom in and out, right? And the only reason I'm zooming out so I can see all of the data. And up here we're going to put in TV costs, right? Like your cable or your Sky TV provider. And normally they rip us off, right? They charge us quite a lot of money. So, but this would typically be the same bill every month. So I'm going to type in 55. I can't be bothered to type it in anymore, so I'm going to copy this one, select it, press Ctrl C to copy, left click here, drag all the way down holding the mouse button and press Ctrl V to paste it. Then hit the escape key and then click here, and we'll go to AutoSum, click it, left click and then hit the enter key. Now we've got a grand total here. Now the really nice thing that just happened, when we put all of these values into here, Excel recalculated everything else, and you can see we had 10,000 here before. Now we've got 11,000. So for example, if I click here, you see it says 55. So if you keep an eye on this L value, it's 929, right? 929.99. If I delete this value, so I click on it and hit the delete key, you'll see it says 874.99. So it's removed that £55, and it will do it here as well, and it will do on your grand calculation here as well. So let's put that 55 back in, 55, and then hit the enter key. Then all of the values get recalculated. So if you make a mistake in here, like this was supposed to be £25 and not 20, just type in 25, hit the enter key, and all of the values will get recalculated. Your grand total here, your main grand total here, and then the grand total here on the given month. So that's quite interesting that Excel can do all of those things just by a simple mouse click. So that is pretty much everything for this beginner's tutorial. I just wanted to get you up to speed. You can see there's a lot more tools up here. There's like color formatting, there's formulas, you can create custom formulas, you can do charts and diagrams. There's lots of different things you can do with Excel. But the main thing is to get you up to speed so that you understand what cells are. So now we know that if we click here, we're clicking on a cell. We know what a column is. This is column F. We know that this is row 6. And we know that if we click here, this will be column G and it will be row 9. And it will tell us right here, column G, row 9. And if our spreadsheet is it's not very user friendly, let's say, and these columns are not formatted quite well, we can just click here, move our mouse cursor in the middle of 2 columns and just double click and it will resize everything. We even know how to use the AutoSum function now, so we can do grand totals quite quickly, right? We can right click here, or we can left click here, then right click, and we can insert a new column. Then we can put a new value in here. So we had internet access, mobile phone, TV costs and cable. What else might we have that's digital? Let's say let's think, what else could we put in here? Maybe something like I'll tell you what, one thing that we did miss. So let's say that we put a column in here and we don't want it to be here. We can click here, left click, then right click on it, and then just hit the delete here. That will delete that column and move everything back into place. We've got car fuel here, so let me click on column A. And one thing you need to know is when you insert a column, the column will always be inserted to the left. So if I want to put a column between J and K, I should click on K, then right click and then insert, and you'll see it will insert it to the left side. So in here I missed a column. Let's put in travel, and this will be our travel expenses, like our train travel for our Oyster top-up card, right? And let's say we spend £40 a month pretty much every month, but during the summer months we may do more traveling, so we may go into the city a bit more, and then towards the winter months our traveling might reduce because we're not going out so much and the cost will reduce. So here we can see the values, and we can click here, AutoSum, hit the enter key, and we've got our grand total now for our travel costs. And you can see the spreadsheet is getting wider and wider, so we can hold down the control key and use our mouse wheel to zoom out a little bit, and then we can see all of the data quite clearly. And sometimes you've got so many columns that you just can't zoom out infinitely and it gets too small, right? So then you use the this sidebar here to scroll to the side to see more data on the site, and keep the font quite big so it's easy. Normally I set my spreadsheet to sort of this size, but I'm only zooming in to make it easier for you to see what data is going into the spreadsheet. So that's pretty much it for this first example. We're going to be doing much more examples. You can see this is part 1, and in part 2 we look at maybe taking this exact same data and converting it or doing some more work to it. Maybe we'll make some sort of chart, so some sort of visual chart to show these costs and how they're fluctuating throughout the year. Maybe we'll do something like that, and then in subsequent tutorials we'll start to look at business cases where we may want to document who owes us money, how much money have we spent within our business, what invoices have we sent out to people, and who has paid us and who hasn't paid us, and how did they pay us, and so forth. But the main idea with this tutorial is just to get you up to speed with some key fundamentals about Microsoft Excel 2019 is the version I'm using. So let's click on this save button. We'll close this, and if we ever want to get back to that spreadsheet, we'll just open up the folder and double click on the spreadsheet, and it will be open as we left it. So let's close this. I'm going to close this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next DCP web tutorial.